welcome to another episode of Sustainment TV. I'm your host, David McDonald, and before we get into today's video, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It will help us to continue to grow and improve upon what we do. For today's video, I wanted to feature a conversation that I was able to recently have with an actor with more than 30 years in the business. He's also an established author and a producer. I hope you enjoyed today's interview with Mr. Robert Shepard. He's an actor and producer with more than 100 film and TV credits to his name. Please welcome Robert Shepard. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, good, David. It's so nice to see you again.
Same here, sir. Always good to see you. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to have a few moments with you, to interview you, let our listeners, learn more about you. What made you originally want to get into acting?
In reality, I am not quite sure, but here's the deal. I can never remember when I did not want to be an actor, even as a little kid. I was totally fascinated by movies, and I wanted to be part of that. My problem was, which in many ways it wasn't a terrible problem, but I was raised on a farm in the Missouri Ozarks, and I had a challenge figuring out how to get from the Ozarks into the movies. And so it took a lot of starts and stops, but finally, through the faithfulness of the good Lord, I've been an actor now pretty well full-time for 30 years.
Wow. That's that's saying a lot. That's awesome. I know I was looking up some of your past credits on IMDb. That's quite a list. What would you say is your favorite genre of film?
I really don't have one. What makes any of it, either film or TV, my favorite, or occasionally live stage. I don't do that too much anymore, but it all depends upon the role. That's the thing that makes the medium my favorite, So if it's a great role in a movie, super. If it's a great role in a TV series, if it's a great role in a student film, whatever it is, it's really the role, and allowing me to become a different character that's what makes it my favorite medium. So it's all of the above, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, that was going, I guess, right into my next question. If you had to choose an area of entertainment, would you have a preference for film or would you have a preference for TV?
Again, I think the answer is the same. Okay. It really is. I've had some great roles in movies. I've had some great roles in television productions, and so that's really the driving force for me.
Okay, if you had to take, we'll say 5 words. If you had to take 5 words to describe you, what 5 words would you choose?
Christian, husband, father, papa, and actor.
All right. Do you have any advice for people that would look to get into acting?
Well, if you can do anything else, don't do it. But that aside, I really feel like you really need to feel like that is your calling, that is something that you are meant to do, because as you know, David, the challenges, the rejections, they are so strong that if you really aren't committed and feel like that you're on the path that you're supposed to be, it's really easy to get discouraged and give up. So, but if you feel like that, just as I did from that little boy on the farm, I never lost that, and I had to go through all kinds of different things. But that sort of sustained me, and knowing that I really felt like ultimately being an actor was really ultimately my life's calling.
All right. Yeah, that's good, because it's like, you're saying about the rejection portion. It's like, even I would say even over the last 2 months, since 2024 has started,
probably double-digit submissions, and I only got 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, it's that's good advice.
Yes, that is just, it is part of it. And here's the other thing, that once you've done it for a while, David, though, and actually I've been on the other side and been casting in the films that I produce too. So the thing that any actor needs to keep in mind, just because you did not get that role, it does not necessarily mean it wasn't because you were the best actor. You might have been. The thing of it is, though, there are so many other things that go into, besides delivering a performance, into getting cast. Maybe you needed to look like someone that is already maybe the lead, or in many ways too, they are looking for diversity, which I totally understand that. And so it really doesn't matter how good you do, you may not be quite fit for that part when they're looking at the whole picture. So it took me a long time to figure that out. And consequently, I don't think I feel that rejection so much, because my goal is always, when I do an audition, did I do the best I can do? Now, if I goofed up, and I can, sometimes I've done a really bad audition. There aren't too many, I don't think, because I've been at it a while. But if I can leave that thinking I did my best, then I feel a sense of satisfaction with that.
What do you feel like has been your most challenging role?
Well, I guess because it was the setting, but probably my most challenging and the most memorable role was being cast in Steven Spielberg's Lincoln. And I was cast as the attending physician. And so here I am. It only was 2 scenes that I was in, but here I'm on set. I'm I'm dressed in this beautifully made military uniform, because I was a military doctor to Lincoln, and I'm directed by Mr. Spielberg. You have the most incredible cast and crew. Daniel Day-Lewis comes in and lies down on the bed, and I have to pull the covers back and use my wooden stethoscope, which I didn't know there was such a thing, to listen to his last breaths. So that was probably because of the awesomeness of who was in the room, made that, the most challenging, because you certainly want to do your best. And Mr. Spielberg could not have been better. He was really incredible. When he first got to set, he said, I want to hear your first line. He said, I want to hear your lines. Well, since there was only 2 of us that had lines, and the other guys was at the end of the scene, so I knew he was talking to me. So I delivered it, and he said, I want you to bring it down. So I brought it down and flattened it out a little bit, and then he said, I want you to also not emphasize the word president. So he told me he wanted this thing basically to be flat. No emotion involved, just say the line. So I ended up doing it probably 25 times, because they would move the camera and I would do about 5 takes, and then they'd move it another location and 5 takes, another location, and finally then from the opposite side, and over and over. And after that, I never got another note from him at all. And the interesting thing was, the actor that played Edwin M. Stanton, who had the final line, which is now he belongs to the Ages or Angels, that kind of flips sometimes, and he's really has had an incredible Hollywood career. And in one of the takes, Mr. Spielberg went over and whispered to him, I need you to bring your lines down. So he gave this veteran the very same note that he did to me, because I think he wanted just the sort of the majesty of the thing that was happening to really take it, and us to just basically just deliver that line, those lines that I had about 5, 6 over and over. So it was incredible. And when it was all over, the cast and crew was getting ready to leave, to go home, wherever home was for them. And I walked back through the set to get to my vehicle, and Mr. Spielberg was saying goodbye to one of the hairdressing ladies, and I just stood there for a moment, and he came over, and we had a really nice personal conversation that I will always treasure.
That's awesome. Those are definitely moments you can't reproduce. I mean, they kind of take them in when you can. That's can't reproduce those. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you almost pinch yourself to say, is this really happening?
Yeah.
And then I guess the second role is one that I've done recently, and it's a pilot for a Hope For series called Lucifer and the Father, and I played God. So that's a little bit of a, we had gotten a script of about 14 pages, which I had memorized. And then about a week before I flew out to Oregon, where we filmed it, the director and his wife had added to it, and it went from 14 pages to 24 pages. And I ended up having monologues, basically. And it almost Shakespearean. So, the memorization of that was a challenge, in addition to, getting my arms around, if you will, how you play God.
All right. I mean, I could definitely see how that one could be a favorite and a challenge at the same time, because it's like, I mean, who would want to play God, right?
Well, there was a guy called Morgan Freeman.
Right. What's that? That's right. That's Evan Almighty, right?
Yeah, and, both of the Almighty ones he was in. Yeah. Unfortunately, I did not get to see him. I worked in Evan Almighty, and I sat by Steve Carell for a week. I was the congressman next to him, but unfortunately, I did not get to do any scenes with Mr. Freeman, because I think he's an incredible actor.
Absolutely. What do you do for encouragement or to get inspired or motivated? I mean, is there any routine you have? Like to get psyched up or prep for a role? I mean, what do you kind of do to get into that headspace?
Well, in all honesty, the first thing I try to do is memorize the script. I mean, because before I think you can fully get into interpreting, you've got to own that. You've got to know the script. You need to, because you could have maybe you've decided how you think the character would deliver the line, and you've got that in your head, but you get to set. Maybe the director wants you to go a different way. Well, you've got to have the foundation of knowing those lines. Then it's simply a matter of being flexible enough to interpret it, because directors have their ideas as well as actors have theirs. So but I think the first key is I just sat down with a script and go from front to back and do my best to get all my lines memorized. So that's not very exciting, is it, Dave?
I mean, hey, whatever it takes, right? I get it. Definitely, it's like I hear what you're saying about memorization, and then it's like, as you continue to go through it, you kind of put those nuances and emotion, where you should put it and whatnot. But no,
Did you know one of the things I've also discovered that I think sometimes gets overlooked? I think one of the keys to really being a good actor is to be a good listener. You really need to listen to your scene partner, and that's going to, if you really digest what they have said, that's going to really help you, I think, figure out how the best way to deliver that line. So being a good listener, I think, is sometimes underrated, and people don't think about it.
That's good. Yeah. One mouth and two ears, so we should be listening twice as much as we're speaking. I've heard that a time or two. Obviously with the pandemic, everything pretty much came to a screeching halt. And then moving forward, there's some new technologies that have emerged. Even the format of bringing entertainment to marketplaces has somewhat changed, permanently. What would you say are the biggest challenges moving forward in the industry?
Well, In some ways, it depends on which hat you're wearing. But I will tell you the most difficult one comes with being a producer. And it is, in my experience, has been, and I've produced 3 feature films. I've also been producer on some other projects too, as well as this Lucifer and the Father. The hardest part is getting it financed. And because you can't do anything unless you actually have the funds to make it. And I have found it is and maybe part of it is the economy we're in today, I don't know, but it is certainly not getting easier to get people to come in and help you produce. And everybody just about for their projects have a GoFundMe or an Indiegogo, and many of them aren't making very much money on that. It's just even in getting people in small amounts. For Lucifer and the Father, which is on GoFundMe, one of my production partners says, "Hey, if 1,000 people would just give $10 each, we can make this."
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot won't even give the $10, So that is, I think, one of the biggest. The second hurdle that also comes, I think, with wearing the producer's hat is getting a distribution company, to distribute your product. The good news is most anybody, I think, can get it on Amazon, and that's good. But if you really want to expand and get out, there's Tubi, and there's the YouTube channel, and all kinds of different outlets, and you really, in my view, need a distribution company, and they're kind of picky because there's so much product out there now. So it's not unusual to get turned out. You may have to try multiple before you finally get a distributor.
Yeah. It's I know the days of brick and mortar theaters, kind of getting it done. I mean, I think those days are probably gone. Surprisingly, I know I had a conversation with someone. We were talking about just physical media, and sometimes Netflix or Pluto, any of the platforms, they could have a title for a season of time, and then they take it off, and then you're like, okay, I want to access this one title. Where is it? And so, I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think physical media is dead? Blu-ray. Do you think that's remotely relevant still, or what do you think?
Well, if you're looking from the point of view of an independent, low budget, everything about it is difficult. And the problem is the studio products and those that are produced, internally by Netflix and Apple, and all of those are doing their own. Well, they've already got a ready platform. So the challenge comes, from the guy like me who maybe has a really great story and even have made a good film, but getting it in so it's going to be widely distributed. Then even if it is distributed, my experience with the production companies, they do little to promote it themselves. So you are still going to have to do everything you can through social media, through Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Rotten Tomatoes. So here you think, oh, it's got a distribution company, they're going to take care of it. Well, my experience is they don't. They're depending on you and the people in your cast and crew to get the word out, to attract people to watch your product.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's those grassroots movement. I mean, it definitely takes buy-in from everyone. It's like, I guess, the way I kind of see it, it's like, if you were part of this project and you feel remotely good about it, why wouldn't you share it? But it doesn't always translate that way.
No, and I understand people get busy, but it's just kind of like, okay, I've been there, done that, and I'm out of, and yet, here this thing may be languishing simply because it doesn't have enough presence on the social media platforms to really get people in to watch it,
Yeah. What impact do you want to have on the world?
That is, That's a really tough question. I don't think that I am that important to have much of an impact. But the thing I do hope is that the people that know me, the people that I work with, know that I'm really, I'm going to do everything I can to do the best I can. I'm going to try to treat people with great respect. And that goes with, if you're making a movie, I try to also get around and compliment and talk to the cameraman, the production assistants, all those people, to let them know that they're important too, and that film would not get made without them. So if there is something, I hope I would have a reputation as the kind of guy that lets other people know how important they are, whether it's making movies or whether it's neighbors or making, going to church, whatever it is. I hope to be an encouragement, and I hope that that will be somewhat of a legacy.
It was definitely encouraging for me. I didn't realize, what experience and whatnot you brought to the table. You helped me with my with my first short film, and I still intend to expand that story. But I've said thank you in the past, but I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that, it was really appreciated. It was really appreciated.
Well, it was a real pleasure, and I really enjoy the opportunity also of just helping young filmmakers, because I think of myself of, how much I wanted to be part of this business. And so, I really have empathy, and knowing that it's not an easy road, but I certainly know that I want to do everything I can to be helpful.
I know, I came from a small school, small town. I was in drama club in the fourth grade. When I was in high school, didn't have a drama club. And I know growing up, the mindset I had versus now, I never realized how much impact and how much influence you can have by, storytelling, the act of, bringing an idea to film and presenting it, to the masses. I mean, it can be a powerful tool. Still consider myself new, 5 years acting, 2 years producing. And it's just, I look at, people like you, and I'm just like, wow, to have, had the kind of longevity that you've had in this line of work, it's pretty incredible. What would you say is your greatest strength and weakness?
I think probably my greatest strength is perseverance, not giving up. And part of that came from, I would feel like maybe I was going forward in the career, and then life would happen and I'd have to postpone it and all that. But I never really lost that idea that I was someday going to be a working actor. And I think one of the things, and in fact, I have written a book called Delay is Not Denial, My Story, and it's on Amazon, about how this boy in the Ozarks finally made it into the movies. And so the starts and stops. Actually, David, I had wanted, if I had been mature enough, probably after high school, I would have gone to New York or California and tried to get into the acting business. But part of me just wasn't mature enough to separate away from home and on my own. But I always wanted to do it. But one summer, when I was actually teaching school back home, because after I went to college and became a teacher rather than an actor, but one summer I spent out in LA to make a demo tape for a record producer, and I thought, hey, it'd be fun to be on TV. So I knew about the dating game, even though I had not ever seen it, because back on the farm, we didn't get that channel. But I read about it and knew about it. So I called up the production company, and they said, oh yeah, come out Friday night. We're having an open call. So I went out, auditioned, and they said, well, don't call us, we'll call you. But lo and behold, they called me for a callback. And then I was getting ready to fly home because I had a contract to teach school in a few weeks. They called and said, hey, you're booked for the show. So I became bachelor number 2 and made my national TV debut in 1970, of all things. And then, lo and behold, I actually got picked for the date. But I had achieved my goal, which was to be on TV. So I was very relaxed and had fun. And when she said things like, "Well, Bob, why do you spray all over yourself to get rid of the ugly girls?" And I said, "Well, actually, my dear, I've never met an ugly girl. They're all beautiful in their own way." And the audience clapped and all that. And then after Jill picked me, I said backstage, "Jill, why did you pick me?" Thinking she'd say, "Oh, Bob, your answers were so clever." She said, "I was so nervous, I couldn't remember what anybody said, but I liked the sound of your voice."
Oh, wow. Wow. So I heard you say perseverance was your greatest strength.
Oh, and I didn't do weakness, did I? Um, I'd probably need to defer to my wife.
Okay, I got you.
Let her answer that.
I got you. I know this is, we're relatively new in this year, 2024. You have a lot of work lined up for this year.
Very interesting. And because I'm, as you know, I'm no spring chicken, but I counted up the other day, and actually I have been cast in 10 projects that would be coming up over this year, and some might move to next year because, again, they're all looking for funds. So I felt very blessed at the first of the year to think, wow, that's pretty neat. So, but again, I've been in the business a long time, and not to, put down any of them, but some may never get made because they never get the money. But I felt very blessed to have about 10 that they thought enough of me that they wanted me to be part of helping them tell their story.
Okay, that's potentially a busy year. Yeah, that's great. I know I did a commercial a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, okay, here we go. I had a lot of lines in the water, if you will, and then everything went dark. So so. But no,
well, don't give up. I don't know how many times I would do something and say, "Oh, this is going to be the spark plug. This is going to be the thing," and like you said, then many times you might go for weeks with almost nothing happening. So, and then the other side of that coin is you can have so many things going, you have to turn down projects, and that always kills me for that to have to happen. So
Yeah.
It seems like feast or famine is sort of the rule that I have found that's out there.
Gotcha.
But it's one of the reasons, though, David, that I kind of like to keep my hand in as a producer, because if there isn't anything else going on, then I and my production partner, Jesse Sanzo, we have these other projects that we can keep working on, hard as it is to get people to financially support, but it always gives us something to do.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Do you have any final thoughts for us today, sir?
I feel very blessed to have been able to have done the projects that I have. Actually, there's one, my last film that I produced is called The Mardi Gras Man, and it was filmed on location in Phoebus, a part of Hampton. So it's a lot of local locations, but it's available on Amazon and Tubi and YouTube channel. And
I've seen
it. Oh, and you have seen it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's out there. Then the other thing we are working on to try to get funding for more episodes of Lucifer and the Father. So it's a GoFundMe campaign that, again, is going very slow, but I would ask people to consider that. But overall, I just so appreciate you, David, and your enthusiasm and your creativity, and know that if you get that enemy of the state back up, and you need an old lawyer, I'd be happy to jump in.
Absolutely. I definitely plan on doing that. All right, Sustainment TV. Once again, we We really appreciate Mr. Shepard's time. I hope something's been said to kind of encourage, inspire even. I know there are many people out there who are endeavoring in acting part-time, some are full-time, some may be thinking about it. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.